Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So Maine has been in the news recently because this is one of the states that is ignoring Trump's executive order. So in Maine, schools are still allowing transgender athletes to compete in women's sports. And on Monday, transgender athlete Katie Spencer from Greeley High School won a Class B state championship in pole vaulting with a jump of 10 feet 6 inches. The victory helped Greeley secure the overall girls team title by just 1 point. And this is Newsweek, and what Newsweek fails to mention is that this athlete actually won by 8 inches, jumped 8 inches higher than the second place athlete. And a Republican representative weighed in on this whole issue recently and is now being accused of bullying children, saying that you're a bully because you posted this person's picture, which was this person on the podium with the girls on, number one on the podium. And this Republican representative pointed out that this athlete used to compete with the boys and came about fifth place when competing with the boys. And of course, this athlete is now winning championships in the girls competition. So it was Republican Representative Laurel Libby who posted about it on Facebook, highlighting that Spencer had competed in the boys division just 2 years earlier, placing 5th. Yeah. So here's Laurel Libby in an interview with WMTV, where she's discussing the issue in Maine, where the state is basically choosing to ignore the executive order, which is why it's so important that the Protection of Girls and Women in Sports Act passes through Congress.
Girls' sports has come a long way, and I think we have a responsibility to protect girls' sports, to protect Maine girls, and to ensure that they have a level playing field.
Libby is joining a national conversation surrounding transgender women and girls who are biological males participating in girls and women's sports. Libby says she felt called to share this on her public Facebook, which now has more than 42,000 comments and counting.
What was the decision to post the photos of them? Why did you make that decision?
It's now up to 73,000 comments.
Yeah, that individual is participating in a public event, a public sport. There are photos online. This is not new. And when you choose to participate in something that is as public as this, it's not surprising.
We have decided to blur the face of the students because
usually they want to brag about having a transgender athlete and they have the person all on their website and everything, bragging about the championship going so well. And they post these photos on social media, on the school's social media sites. But the minute somebody is critical of the fact that they allowed a transgender athlete to compete in a girls' competition, all of a sudden you get accused of being a bully and you have to blur their faces.
Because we have not been able to independently confirm that this is the same athlete or speak to the family, and the people photographed are presumably minors. We've also reached out to LGBTQ+ advocacy groups and the House Speaker's office, who have not commented at this time. As of 2019, the Maine Integrated Youth Health Survey found that 1.6% of Maine high school students identified as transgender. Nationally, that number is 3.3%. Of that about 3%, less than half of those students participate in high school sports at 40.7%. Just last week, the Maine Principals Association announced it would not enforce President Donald Trump's executive order banning biological males from participating in girls' and women's sports. This social media post has stirred up a lot of opinions, some people calling Libby a bully, others agreeing with her, saying this should not be allowed. I asked Libby how she would feel if she was the parent in this situation.
Do you think she's going to tell her kid that, he's born in the wrong body and he's actually a girl and, you can compete against the girls? You came 5th, but you can go over into the girls' team since you're a girl and you were actually born in the wrong body. Do you think she's going to be telling that to her son? I doubt it. And no responsible parent should be telling their kid that.
I would never allow my son to participate in girls' sports. It is unfair. And Maine people know that. And so I can't imagine a scenario where a photo of my child would be posted as participating in a sport with the opposite gender. competing as that gender.
Clearly, this isn't right. And you know the people who are suffering the most? Those young girls. The girl who came second had a championship stolen from her. She was robbed of a championship. Not to mention the spot that this male athlete took from a female athlete. All of the female athletes have been affected in some way by allowing a boy to compete in a women's competition, in a girls' competition. So you got people posting her picture, as if she's not a public figure anyway, posting her picture and accusing her of bullying and targeting, minors, because she posted the photo of the event, to the public event, and objected to a boy competing in a girls' competition. That's all this comes down to.
Trump may be president, but that doesn't mean that trans insanity is finished. In fact, it's still destroying women's sports, this time in Maine. In the town of Cumberland Center, a boy who proclaimed that he's transgender won a girls' state high school pole vault championship. He jumped, wait for it, 8 inches higher than the second place winner. Now, this same boy, who now calls himself Katie, competed in the boys' pole vault a year ago, competed against boys. But when he competed against boys, he tied for 5th place. No ribbon. Joining us now, the woman who exposed all of this, Maine State Rep Laurel Libby. Madam Representative, the Maine Department of Education's defying President Trump's executive order to keep men or boys out of girls' or women's sports. So what needs to happen now to protect girls' sports in Maine?
Yeah, absolutely. Just shortly after President Trump issued his executive order, the Maine Principals Association came out and said that they were going to continue to allow boys to compete in girls' sports here in Maine. I can't imagine that anything is going to change either the MPA's minds or Democrat legislators on this policy, except for President Trump's administration taking action and defunding Maine schools until they comply.
Yeah, I hope they lose their federal funding. That's exactly what they deserve. Now, I'm hoping that this Protection of Girls and Women in Sports Act passes through Congress, passes through the Senate as well as the House, and it needs to be written into law. And you have these states who are bold enough to say they're going to ignore the executive order and carry on mistreating female athletes. And when this is all over, these schools need to be investigated. Just as the Department of Education is investigating SJSU and all these other schools that were complicit in this. These schools in Maine that are allowing this, they need to be investigated too.
Now, I had friends in Maine alert me to this story. I have a lot of relatives in Maine, a lot of friends in Maine, and they were horrified by this. I mean, these are great people. They love all people, not particularly political, but we're seeing a screenshot now of the pole vaulter 8 inches higher than the second place finisher. It reminds me of all the state track championships lost to trans athletes, girls losing titles. But, I know Maine is kind of an unusual state. It's some unusual politics. But from what you understand, do the constituents support this?
Yeah, Mainers are independent-minded, and they are commonsensical. And this defies common sense. I think Mainers felt pretty along the lines with recent polling that shows that 79% of Americans do not support boys participating in girls' sports. And I think that falls pretty similarly here in Maine. It does not follow common sense to allow boys to participate in girls' sports. It is absolutely unfair. And I think that folks understand, whether we're talking about in Maine or across the country, folks understand that it is absolutely unfair to let boys compete against girls. They have a natural biological advantage.
I'm just looking at this person and the pole's all the way to the top. Like, this just reminds me, I used to do high jump. I was ranked in the UK for high jump at one point, and my coach thought that maybe I should try pole vault. Nope. I have no idea how they even do this. Like, they're completely upside down. I couldn't even spring off of that thing. I just couldn't even, I didn't even get off the ground, practically. So I admire these female athletes, these young pole vaulters. I absolutely have a lot of respect for them. and how brave they are to do pole vault. And then this male athlete comes along and is just dominating. It's absolutely shocking that they're still trying to justify this. They're still trying to justify this injustice against girls.
And these girls have worked so hard. You know, they work for years and years to excel in their field, and then this happens.
Yeah, well, here's what's going to happen. I hate to break it to all the people of Maine, but this Cumberland Falls going to lose their federal funding. Then I guess they're going to have to explain that to the voters of Maine. Outrageous. You vote for it, you get it, though. Representative, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah. I hope they see serious repercussions for allowing this. Because it's not on, it really isn't. A young girl who missed out on winning a championship, who is the best in her field, she misses out on winning a championship because of a boy. You shouldn't even be in that category. The young girl who didn't even make the podium because there was a boy who took an extra place. Not to mention the girls who didn't qualify because an extra spot was taken by a boy. Missing out on medals, missing out on championships, missing out on trophies, based on nothing but a so-called identity. These schools are going to allow boys to take their scholarships, as well as their championships and accolades. And we know it has a knock-on effect, because there's a difference between applying for a scholarship as a championship winner and applying for a scholarship as someone who came second place. There's a difference. That's what they're denying these exceptional athletes, these exceptional female athletes. That's what they're being denied. It doesn't just affect them when they're competing, it affects them when they're making applications for schools, for scholarships. It's taking away opportunities. And it's about time that this is really put to an end. So there's still a long way to go. It's very disheartening after how happy we were to see that executive order being signed, how groundbreaking it was, which it shouldn't really be groundbreaking to say that boys shouldn't compete in girls' sports, but you know, it's at that stage now. So of course it's going to improve things. At least it's restored Title IX, for example. But there's still a lot of work to do. There's still a lot of ground to cover. Laws need to be changed. Congress needs to come through. They need to come through. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe. Take care of yourselves, and God willing, I will see you in the next video.